Hey guys, I was just talking with my landlord. We both forgot that my lease actually expired last month, so she was calling to see if I wanted to renew for another year, and I said I did. Even though this place is really tight on space, the rent I'm paying in this neighborhood is still a pretty good deal, so I'll stay. And unexpectedly, she said that I could store some stuff in the attic. I'd asked ages ago when I first moved here, and she said she didn't want me going up there, and there was actually a padlock on the door. But she changed her mind, so I can now take at least some of these boxes for sure and put them up there. It's not insulated, it's not heated, it's not cooled, but certainly cardboard boxes, these tube caddies, and tubes themselves can take the extremes of temperature without any trouble. So I'm hoping I can get most of this stuff out of here, rearrange things, and finally get some sets inside, like the Zenith porthole set. I know I'd mentioned in an earlier video I was going to rearrange my bookcase and such and get it inside. Well, that just didn't work out. But now I think I'll be able to get it inside finally. How about you go take a look up in the attic? Conveniently, it's right off the stairs on my back porch. In fact, I believe when she bought the building, before I moved in, the original plans were to make my unit into a duplex. But I guess it was just, it'd be too expensive to do, so never happened. So yeah, this was padlocked. Most of the time I've been living here. Door sticks pretty good. It used to get really, really brutally hot up here, but I finally talked her into installing this exhaust fan, which is like a thermostat. And a day like today, it's probably not much more than 70 degrees outside, but it's well above 80 degrees in here, even with this fan running. But look at all this space. Now, she doesn't want me taking up the whole attic, but she said I could use this corner. I'll just have to move this old bird cage. And looks like we got some little tubs here. As far as attics go, though, it's actually fairly clean. Oh, a nice Christmas tree too, she said. But it's uninsulated, like I said, so you know, on the other side of this is the shingles. That's it. Fairly solid rafters, though. She had the roof redone a while ago, and it looks like they replaced some of the boards. This is kind of fun too. There is actually a hatch out here. It's heavy. And there's outside. Here's part of the old chimney that is not operational anymore. Or I think they might have run some new flues down for the furnace in the basement. My floor has its own independent heating units, but there is a furnace in the basement for the other two units. Brick walls are not in the greatest shape. I think they're full 4 bricks thick, over a foot thick, but the interior brick, as you can see, they're pretty bad. Occasionally I'll be sitting in my place and I'll hear debris falling, which is all this stuff coming down. I'm sure this all could be treated and taken care of, but you know, money's tight these days and she just doesn't want to deal with it. So to make this into another unit, into a duplex, I suppose you'd want to make dormers. You'd have to fix up the brick. You want to do something about these. I'm sure they're part of the structure right now to reinforce the building, but if you wanted to actually live up here, it isn't a living space that they are cutting into the real estate. But even so, it's pretty sizable. The floor seems to be in decent shape too. Seems like I shouldn't have too much trouble putting some weight up here. Although I'll try to keep it to a minimum. I don't want to abuse her generosity. Oh, I guess there are some holes here. So that would be wiring in my place. Probably that's the light to above my bedroom, or in my bedroom above my bed. And notice there's a bunch of these up here. I don't know what this is all about, but it's like some giant extendable ruler. Like there's hinges on the end. I don't know, I guess if you wanted to measure something really, really long or really, really tall, you'd use something like that. That would be the stack for the sewage, I guess. Huh, I wonder what those are from. Old screen doors, but I don't recall there being anything in the building that would take windows like that. These are my landlord's chairs. Some nice mid-century deck chairs. Some doors from the building that never got refinished. I've taken almost all my doors out. It saves a lot of floor space. You know, to take the doors off the hinges and just take them out. I guess these never got refinished. That's kind of nifty. Wish I had the key to it. Nice old lock. And there's this weird room where somebody partitioned part of the attic out, but it's not like there's a roof to it or it's a finished room or anything. It's just this little weird closed off locker. Maybe this was storage for somebody ages ago. Huh. There's an old TV radial up there. Oh, here's the cable from it. I guess that doesn't go anywhere anymore. Get a nice view of the neighborhood out this window. Beautiful day. I had horrible weather all September, one of the coolest Septembers in many years. And now we're going to be pushing the 80s in October. Go figure. Lots of brick debris down here. Oh, this looks like it's been patched up. I can see there's more of that fuzzy stuff. A friend of mine said that was some kind of fungus, but I looked up online and no, I'm pretty sure that's from water leaching chemicals out of the brick. There's another chimney up here. This I'm positive isn't used for anything anymore. Well, that's right about where the heating unit is in my apartment, but the exhaust on mine just goes right out the side of the building, not through this chimney. What do we got here? Oh, base for another Christmas tree. And a window of some sort. Odd. Maybe somebody uses this for clothing. Looks like there's something you could hang stuff on. At any rate, this will work out great for me. Now, I'm not going to run out and buy a lot more stuff. I just want to deal with the stuff I've got and make my place a little more livable. I cleaned out this one corner, which is closest to the door, and that should be plenty of space to hold my stuff. Found a few more interesting things up here. This, I think, is part of a tile ceiling from an old building. I'm not sure. On the back, it's got an old sign. Maybe it's part of an old crate or something. Wabash Screen Door Company, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Number 3 crystallized. Speaking of screens, I'm finding more of these old screen windows, and I think I know what they go to. So go to the windows up here. I thought that was especially nice. Nice wood frame. It's got some crossbars down here. Anyways, I think these screens go on these really tall windows. I also noticed that there were wires strung up all over the place, but they're not electrical. They're just strung up here. And I noticed some clothespins and a bag of clothespins. So, you know, we've got a clothesline in the backyard, and I wondered what did people do back in the day in the winter. I guess they hung all their clothes up here to dry out. I don't think I'll be doing that, but man, I mean, it's an extensive network. Wire after wire after wire running the length of the building, like 100 feet, 100 plus feet long. That's a hell of a lot of laundry you could hang up here at one time. Also, I just noticed this on the floor as I tripped over it. I think it's a branch lopper for trimming trees. I don't know why I'd be up in the attic and not in the garage. Sure seems like if you pull on this handle. Yeah. Oh, this is a blade at the other end. It took me a few days to sort through all my stuff and decide what I wanted to store up here and what I wanted to keep down there. And tonight, with the help of a friend, I've got it all up here. I tried to keep things as neat as possible. Hopefully my landlord won't mind at the amount of space I've taken up. But then again, she saw all this stuff on the back porch, so I guess she shouldn't be too surprised. Her concern was all the weight on that back porch, and I think it should be fine up here. It's a pretty sturdy timber, and it's in a corner with a brick wall on this side and a brick wall on this side, so it should be a pretty stable corner. Most of the stuff that's up here is pitcher tubes and vacuum tubes. They shouldn't have any problem with the temperature extremes between winter and summer, and some old test equipment. But there are no TVs or radios up here. Those I'm all going to keep down and keep them inside as much as possible where the environment is controlled. So here's what's left down here. Well, I can actually walk all the way to the back edge of my porch. Some of these boxes might go up there too. I don't remember what's in these. Well, one of them is a Philco 3955 chassis that works with a mystery control, which I'm going to restore one of these days. It's a demonstration model. Don't have a cabinet for it. Yep, that's what's in here. I'll have to be careful with that. I don't want to put anything heavy on top of it. Well, I'm not sure what's below it. Yes, I remember what's down here now. It's the tuner chassis for an RE73, I believe. I bought this chassis and the power supply amp off of eBay a while back. They were really cheap, and I thought I might need some spare parts or maybe help out some other restores, so I picked them up. In fact, I've already sold a few bits and pieces to another restore. What's cool about this is the way the tuning works. Cool enough that I'll do a separate video on it. But basically, instead of you rotating a knob, you slide this tuning lever back and forth. And there's a cam mechanism below that slides tuning slugs in and out of coils. Alright, so got all kinds of space back here now. And I can get at some sets that I haven't been able to get at for a while. Like this, which is a Philco 50T1401 or 2 or 3 or 4. I don't remember exactly. They made 4 rather similar models. I've got 2 of them. This is one of them, and this blonde set is another. Both of these are 2 of the least common variations on this. Well, the reason I wanted to get to this is when I bought it, I was missing about 2/3 of the knobs. And recently I picked up some knobs at an antique radio swap fest and traded them with some guys to get a complete set for this set. So I finally put them on. This is, I think, only the 3rd or 4th vintage set that I ever got. And it seemed really chewed up and kind of daunting when I got it. But now I think it certainly is a good candidate for restoration. There's the channel, fine tuning. Only problem with the cabinet is it's got a crack here. So I suppose I'll have to take the cabinet apart as much as possible, get some glue in there and clamp it down. Gotta tighten that joint up, reinforce it somehow. I imagine that's from the weight of the chassis over the years. This is one of the trickier knobs. See, these two have outer and inner knobs, so they're 2 separate knobs. But to mimic that look, for the first knob, it's actually a faux knob, or it looks like it's two knobs, it's really just one, and that was one of the knobs I needed. Oh, looks good. Looks like it hasn't. Oh, I'm just going to push it onto here. There we go. And finally this guy. The chassis is not secured down, and I think it's off a bit from where it should be. Yeah, basically, complete set of knobs. So what's left out here is I got this Philco, an Airline 16-inch rectangular set, that big 16-inch round Admiral set I picked up not too long ago, this AM phonograph Sentinel set. I think I'm going to end up selling. Just doesn't really fit with the rest of my collection. I don't have anywhere to put it. My basket case, Admiral 20X122, and of course the porthole set, which will be coming inside very shortly, I hope. Be nice to finally get this inside and pull the chassis out, take a look at it, because I have not yet. These two Admirals, which do not belong to me, which I'm going to restore. My very next projects are these two sets. So this set, and this set of the same chassis. I recorded a video a while ago showing me unboxing the parts that I picked up to restore them. And I got a Philco 70 console squeezed in back here. Try to find room for that inside. And I got some other sets and some test equipment I got to rearrange. Now, just purely a coincidence, but the same day that I cleared out all this space, I just happened to pick up another set. Not a TV, but a radio. It's a Radiola 80. I gotta clear some room so we can get a better look at it, but here's a quick peek. It's essentially the same chassis as what's in my Westinghouse Columnaire WR8. Radiola here, some nice wood knobs. Unfortunately, it's missing one, and the speaker grill here has some broken out bits. Hopefully I can make a mold and replicate that. I do have all the tubes. I just pulled out those 3 bottom tubes to take them inside for testing. I got it because it was close by, it was cheap, and I figure if I need any parts for my WR8, here we go. Most particularly is the speaker, which is identical, I believe, to the chewed up one that I patched up with coffee filters and so on. I believe this is an identical speaker, and it looks to be in pretty good shape. So let me swap it out. Wow, I had not noticed that before. That's pretty nasty. These are tar block capacitors, and the ones in my WR8 were actually functional, and that radio worked with all the original components. So I'm kind of curious to try this out and see if it works. The previous owner said he had plugged it in and turned it on lots of times to show it off to people, but he said the dial light burned out and it never made a sound. And then he pointed out, oh, and by the way, it's missing a tube, but I don't think that'll have any effect on the radio's operation. Well, of course it will. It's a Type 24, it should sit right in here, and it's part of the chain of tubes, and yeah, without that, you will definitely not get any sound. So a couple 27s, 4 24s, and a Type 80, and then push-pull 45 output tubes. So as soon as I clear some space, I will get out a dim bulb tester and populate the missing tubes, and let's see if this radio actually can produce some sound. I made some room and did a preliminary exploration of this set, and the first thing that struck me was this device. It says Antenex, A-N-T-E-N-E-X. It's got a lug here that says separate ground. It's got a lug here with a wire that just feeds back in on itself, and the other wire goes to the antenna terminal. Never seen anything quite like this before. I don't know if there's like a coil of wire in there that would serve as an antenna, or if that's maybe some type of lightning arrestor. Not sure. I repopulated the tubes after I tested them. Here's the 80 tube, which tests good, I'm happy to say. And the two type 45 tubes also test good. This is a super Silvertone tube. And this, I was really happy to get. This is a Philco early Globe style. Got Philco on the base and a fragment of what would have been a nice Philco label here. And there's a 45 printed on the glass up here. I have a bunch of tubes like this in my Philco 15DX. Pretty hard to find. I also went ahead and used a dim bulb tester and went through a few wattages, and everything seemed to be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and power this up, and let's see if we can get some sound out of it. There's the 80 rectifier glowing, the 245 tubes kind of faint, and here's the rest of the tubes up top. And I just got the occasional faint crackle coming out of it. One of the knobs is missing, and I'm kind of working off memory. I think this is a tone control, just to position. I think this is tuning, and I think this is volume, but I'm not entirely sure about any of that. At any rate, I can tune it by hand, carefully reaching in here and rotating the drum. And you hear a crackle. But that's it. And I can go through and touch the caps on these 24 tubes. Don't try this yourself, but I'm familiar with this radio, so I know I'm not going to get shocked. So not a whole lot there. They're all glowing, but I have not tested any of these tubes up top, so next up I'm going to check these out. Oh, and by the way, underside looks really clean. Looks cleaner than the chassis I've got in my WR8. So if I can get this working, I'm kind of tempted to use this speaker and use this tuner chassis in mine. But mine is cadmium plated and it polishes up real nice, and this doesn't appear to be. A little bit of rust there too, so I don't know. It's hard to say which one's actually in better condition. I pulled the tubes out of the tuner and tested them and found out that one of the 24s was bad, so I popped in a new old stock type 24, and what do you know, the radio's playing. Not great. I have the volume up almost all the way and I can only pull in a couple stations, but I just wanted to see if the radio had some life left. So that means the power transformer's alright, the speaker's alright, and so on. It definitely needs a full overhaul.
Professional baseball have tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs than any other nationality.
I'm happy.
Seeing corruption as a serious.
Here's a better look at the cabinet. So, got some dings here and there. The top's bad enough that I might just replace the whole thing with some new veneer. It's warped, and it's got some ships coming up here, and there are some ships missing here and there.
It would range from skeptical to outright.
Front's not too bad though.
A veteran baseball
the old
executive
original
who is now the Mets general manager.
Radiola logo. And I'll have to find a replacement knob for here. I think this is the way it's supposed to go. I think the small knob should be here, and that's a local distance switch. This is volume and this is tone. Not sure if this is the original grill cloth, but what's here is in okay condition. The frame, unfortunately, it's a bit cracked. Got a chunk missing here, and here, and here. Maybe I can make a mold and replicate some parts and kind of glue them in place. Otherwise, it's in alright condition. Usual nicks and dings and stuff, but I imagine stripping and refinishing will bring it back to life. Not that there's a whole lot to strip off. Now you look down here and there's only a few traces of the original finish left. This is pretty much bare wood. So, all in all, not a bad purchase, I'd say. Alright, well, it's getting late. I'm going to call it a night. I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
We are only